Hello friends, it's Kat from Meow Meow Kapow. I think a lot of people have some of their most creative ideas when they're in super inconvenient places, like in the middle of a hot shower or that moment right before you fall asleep. Which is why I keep a relatively decent stash of art supplies next to my bed. At night, my alter ego, SleepKittens, comes out and causes mischief. Seriously, you should see the sketchbook I keep in my nightstand. It's absolute madness. There are some really great ideas in there, and I'm hoping to do them justice someday. However, sometimes SleepKittens decides she is not just merely content with using paper, and I will often wake up with notes written on my arm in pen that I have no recollection of. To be fair, this is a habit I've had since forever, even while awake, because I have a notoriously spotty memory and have tried all sorts of note-taking types, only to always find writing on my arm to be the most reliable. Oh well, to each their own, right? At any rate, I woke up one morning to the note, "Ripped Comics Negative Space," and immediately understood what SleepKittens had meant. The trek to my local comic shop is pretty short, but not so short that I was unable to feel shame about the destruction I had planned to do. Thankfully, the gent at the comic shop had a bin of less than pristine books to choose from, all being incredibly yellowed or lightly ripped or otherwise imperfect. I also made sure not to grab anything that didn't have an identical copy in the bin, in case someone wanted to read the books. I still feel a little guilty for destroying these Punisher comics, but I really like the way the final piece came out and plan on making a couple more in different sizes. After I figured out the layout I wanted for the ripped pieces, I took a canvas and covered it in Mod Podge. I happen to have a ridiculously large jug of Mod Podge at home because of an old project, but it's basically just Elmer's glue if anyone else wants to do something similar. There are a couple of improvements I'll make on my next piece. One being that I either won't use clear tape for the initial layout, or I'll just leave it on since it's imperceptible in the final piece. And two, I wouldn't cut off the extra paper around the edges. Interestingly, the sides that still had a little too much comic laying over them were the easiest ones to lay flat. I ended up needing to take special care around the shorter edges to make sure they wrapped around securely. After the comics got 2 or 3 coats of Mod Podge on top, I had to leave the canvas to dry overnight. Once it was set, I took a purple lead pencil and roughly sketched the Punisher logo on top. Don't worry, I'll link the pencil and other materials in the doobly-doo down below. Then it was just a matter of using black acrylic paint to paint outside of the logo so that the negative space was filled with the original comic images. I tried my best to maintain some of the parts that particularly appealed to me, like the woman yelling, "Get in, Frank!" at the bottom, and the pose of Frank holding a rifle near an open window on the right side. Those ones I thought were pretty cool. While I was at the shop, I also got some Doctor Strange comics, but I'm not sure what the image I should use would be for this piece. The cloak? A sort of minimalist version of his face? What ideas do you have? Because I'm super stumped. Then, because it needed a little contrast, some white gel pen was used to define the logo a little more, but in a rough sort of way to keep with the theme. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching. If you like mac and cheese, and you are really hoping to have some for dinner tonight, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, until I see you next time, I wish you peace, love, and maybe a few too many carbs. You're worth it. Bye!